Good evening, everybody, and welcome to my simulation presentation. I was in charge of Industry 2, Firm A. To begin, I would like to go over the overview for my performance outcome. So by the end of year 10, my firm generated $5,782 million in cumulative net income. In terms of shareholder value, I finished with a total shareholder return of negative 2.8%. Now, when compared across the class, those results place me near the bottom of the industry in both profitability and TSR. While that's not where I intended to land, the experience provided significant insight into how early strategic positioning compounds over time, either positively or negatively. Now, here are three best decisions that I took throughout the simulation. And to reiterate, even though the final numbers were weak relative to competitors, there were decisions I believe were strategically sound. Number one, maintaining liquidity and avoiding over leveraging. I was disciplined about not overextending through aggressive debt financing. In an industry where some firms scaled rapidly, I chose to avoid excessive risk. And while this limited explosive growth, it protected the firm from insolvency scenarios and preserved operational flexibility. Number two, attempting a gradual repositioning strategy. Mid simulation, I recognized that I was losing ground in higher growth segments. Now, rather than reacting impulsively, I attempted incremental repositioning through product adjustments rather than full overhauls. The logic was to stabilize margins before chasing volume. Number three, cost control in later years. In the final years, I focused heavily on cost containment, tightening marketing spend and production volume to avoid inventory inefficiencies. This helped prevent the situation from deteriorating further once we were already behind stronger competitors. To follow that up, here are three biggest mistakes. Now, candidly, these mistakes led to the ultimate outcome. Number one, slow early scaling. The largest mistake was underestimating how aggressively competitors would scale in early years. Firms like Industry 2B and or Industry 2C invested heavily and captured market share early. That early lead created a compounding advantage I struggled to catch up to. Number two, conservative product innovation. I delayed major product upgrades longer than I should have. While I focused on financial stability, competitors were investing in more attractive offerings. That gap widened over time, and once consumer perception shifts, it becomes expensive to reverse. Number three, reactive rather than proactive strategy. Too often, I adjusted strategy in response to competitors instead of setting the pace. By the time I reacted to pricing shifts or feature upgrades, the market had already adjusted. Now, here is the competitor impact. So, my experience was heavily shaped by the other firms within Industry 2. For instance, Firm B was quite a dominant player in our industry. Their cumulative net income reached over 49 million, and they maintained TSR above 20%. Their aggressive scaling, strong positioning, and consistent growth forced me into defensive strategies. When they expanded aggressively in key segments, I avoided direct price wars, which preserved margins but cost market share. Now, on the other hand, Firm C, within the same industry, Industry 2, Firm C executed a strong balanced growth strategy. Their TSR remained consistently positive and they steadily increased profitability. Now, what stood out was their timing. They didn't just scale, they scaled intelligently. And watching them grow made it clear that my slower innovation cycle was at a disadvantage. Now, Firm D within the same industry maintained moderate growth but showed disciplined competitive moves. When they upgraded products in mid simulation, I felt pressure to respond. However, improving my offerings required reallocating capital that I had originally reserved for long term flexibility. Following that, Firm E within the same industry, Industry 2, Firm E's trajectory fluctuated early but improved later. Their recovery phase reminded me how powerful repositioning can be when executed decisively, something I likely should have done earlier. Now, to go over my strategic reflection and looking back at everything, the core lesson from this simulation is that early strategic positioning matters immensely. Compounding works in both directions. A small early disadvantage becomes structural over time and, if not corrected, quickly and decisively. So, my conservative financial approach preserved stability but limited growth. Meanwhile, competitors who took calculated risks early captured market leadership and benefited from scale advantages that were difficult to counter. So, if I were to restart the simulation, I would invest more aggressively in early product differentiation, capture market share earlier, even at the expense of short term margins, and be more proactive instead of waiting for clear signals from competitors. To close off here, I would like to say that although the final rankings were not strong, the learning value was significant. And this simulation reinforced the importance of strategic timing, competitive awareness, and the trade off between risk management and growth. In real world markets, firms rarely get the luxury of resetting. That's why recognizing inflection points early is critical. And that's the biggest takeaway I'm leaving this simulation with. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation. If you happen to have any discussion points and or Q&As, I would be glad to answer anything.